Ashley Young has joined Everton on a 1-year contract.
Yeah, I think this is a good signing for Everton. Again, I think they're going to have to be a bit creative this summer because we know there's still FFP issues. So I think to pick up Ashley Young on a free transfer, he's a good character, he's a good professional, he brings a wealth of experience. And actually, if you speak to Aston Villa fans, they were a little bit disappointed to see him go. We know that he was approached by Luton. That was always going to be difficult, bearing in mind he came through at Watford. So I think this is probably a more sensible move. But they're trying Everton, aren't they? We mentioned Wout Weghorst yesterday as somebody that maybe Sean Dyche would like to link up with again. I'm going to do a transfer notebook for the website this afternoon. Mention Arnaut Danjuma as someone who is interested in potentially joining Everton. Of course, he was...
Do you think he'll just turn up there, put the shirt on and then turn around and go back again?
He was pretty much through the door in January before Spurs hijacked that move, but my understanding is that talks are underway. And Willie Gnonto at Leeds as well, maybe a more difficult signing because he's one of the few Leeds players who don't have a relegation release clause in his contract, but I think he'd be an excellent pickup for Everton if they could get that done.
Listen, he's a great little player, and he only cost £4 million, didn't he? I think they bought him from FC Zurich, didn't they?
They did.
Bought him from Swift Football. He was a brilliant find for Leeds United, and he's going to command a huge amount in terms of transfer value.
25 million was the figure that I was quoted.
Well, that represents a good increase on what they paid for him. I think probably if they'd stayed in the Premier League, they'd probably be asking for a little bit more than that. But yeah, 25 million might be what they have to settle for.
Anthony Elanga as well, someone that Everton are interested in, and I think someone that Manchester United are willing to sacrifice.
Did he play last night? I didn't see him. I was watching the game last night. I don't think he played last night.
I don't think he did.
No.
United kids beat Leeds first team. Was that the narrative?
No, it wasn't actually. It was first half was Manchester United's. Let's say
Jadon Sancho played false number 9, didn't he?
He did, and Mason Mount played slightly deeper in an 8 position, and I thought he was absolutely terrific. And if I didn't think he was terrific, and I just watched it on the Manchester United app, they would have told me it was terrific because they couldn't stop talking about him. It was non-stop. The little updates. Watch Mason's first chance. Watch Mason's first goal. Watch Mason's first this, first that. Well, he didn't score in the end, but he came very close to doing so.
See, I was going to say Jadon Sancho's been a false footballer for a couple of years, but I'm being nice, so I'm not going to say that.
But again... That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. You're just going too hard, too quickly. I hope that was. But Everton sort of interested in Anthony Elanga. What about Chelsea and Inter Milan? We talked about prices. Are we getting closer in terms of working out a figure for Romelu Lukaku?
I think so. Negotiations continue. We know that Lukaku was given an extended break. He was actually due to report back for pre-season training today. That was knocked on till Monday in the hope that Chelsea could come up with an agreement. I think the latest offer from Inter Milan is still some £15 million shy of their valuation, but if they can get nearer £40 million with various add-ons, then I think Lukaku will get his wish. And he's another player actually who's turned down an offer from Saudi Arabia because he wants to go back to Inter Milan.
He is single-minded though, isn't he? He just does. He has something in his head that he wants to do, and that's it. He's going to do it. So if he decided he wants to go to Inter Milan, he will make it happen. I mean, he hasn't gone back to training at Chelsea, has he?
No. And I don't think he ever will again. So, I mean, one of the papers has picked up on our conversation yesterday about this pre-season tour, and it backs up what I was saying, that actually even the players, people like Conor Gallagher don't know if they're going to be on that pre-season tour or not because the squad is still in such a state of flux.
Yeah, there's still a lot of work to do there. They need some experience in that Chelsea squad. And I haven't seen too many rumours about players that Chelsea are going to sign, apart from one about Paulo Dybala, which turned out, which at one stage didn't seem to be true. And then there was one of his international teammates suggesting that they'd sort of text him to get in touch with him to try and get him involved. And you had a line about EMI Martinez as well, didn't you?
Again, that's going to be in the notebook this afternoon.
Am I revealing an exclusive here?
You are. But not one necessarily that I think is going to happen in the short term. But I've been told that Mauricio Pochettino is a big admirer of the Aston Villa goalkeeper. This would be an expensive deal to do because I think he's still got 4 more years left on his contract. But I know the goalkeeping department is a cause of concern for you as someone who follows Chelsea. I think it's a cause for concern for Pochettino as well. When he came in, I don't know if you got the same information, but I was told a number 9 and a goalkeeper very much at the top of his wanted list.
Yeah, I think I did. Didn't I tell you that information?
It might come from you. But watch this space on Martinez because at the moment, really, they've only got Kepa, haven't they, as a first-choice keeper?
Bettinelli's there. He's a former. He was in the England squad at one stage. He was in reserve for Fulham, wasn't he, for a long time? Now, we didn't ask Iraola too much about this, but Bristol City have rejected a £15 million bid from Bournemouth for Alex Scott. You broke this story yesterday. The Cherries emerged as front runners to sign the teenage Channel Islander. he is an impressive player.
Very much.
He is someone that is going to command a big fee. I think it's about £20 million, which is going to get him out of
25, I think, is the price that's being quoted by Bristol City. But interestingly, I don't think there are quite as many teams at the table as they were hoping for. I believe Wolverhampton Wanderers have also recently had a bid rejected, but they're not pursuing Alex Scott anymore. They think the price is too high.
Yeah, but they've only got a certain amount of money because they've only taken now a £99 million loan from the government recently.
Yes, exactly. So they're still trying to balance the books. West Ham have been mentioned, but I've got to say it's not one of the names that has been given to me in terms of potential midfield reinforcements there. I think Tottenham have long-standing interest, but he wants to go somewhere where he's going to play. And I think he's been quite impressed with the new man at Bournemouth. And he mentioned there to us, didn't he, Araola, that midfield is an area where they want to reinforce. I think he will end up a Bournemouth player. I think it will probably end up being a deal worth about £18 million. Well,
that's a good signing for them and a good bit of business for Bristol City as well. Anything else we should be talking about today?
Well, we got the Declan Rice situation still. I'm trying to get some word on when that could be announced, but the expectation is that by the end of the week or at the weekend. We know that West Ham have got a bit frustrated by the delay as they try and strengthen their squad. And
I saw that Declan Rice was in Portugal last night. I mean, he's been away with doing the campus. He's doing some training. And he's training with João Cancelo, Rafael Leao, and Bruno Fernandes.
It's not a bad five-a-side team, is it? Just find a goalkeeper.
That's only four.
Yeah.
But I thought it was an odd mix, really. I thought, why is he doing that? Because obviously West Ham have gone back to pre-season training. He's not been a part of that, so it's pretty apparent that he is going to move. But the T's haven't been crossed and the I's haven't been dotted yet.
No, but he's been given a bit of extended leave as a result of the fact that his season went on a bit longer due to West Ham's European exploits. I think what we're seeing from a lot of players now is almost a pre-season. I spoke to Dan Byrne for a Newcastle book that I'm putting together, and he's done the same. He's been in Portugal just getting himself ready for pre-season, so it's not that unusual, and I don't think Arsenal or West Ham fans should be too perturbed by the fact it's not happened yet. We touched on Aaron Ramsey in the last part of the programme, a medical due to take place at Cardiff,
okay.
and that's going to be an emotional homecoming. He played in the FA Cup final that we were at against Portsmouth as a teenager.
I didn't remember it.
Well, we were in a champagne bar, weren't we? But I wonder what exactly Cardiff are getting, because he's someone who's not played a lot of football since he left Arsenal. Didn't work out at Juventus, missed that penalty in the Europa League final for Rangers, didn't really set the world alight at Nice, and the Championship is an unforgiving league. So while I respect him in one respect, Aaron Ramsey, for not taking the Saudi cash and for going back to where it all started and putting his family first, I just hope his body can stand up to the rigours of a full Championship season.
Have you found it slightly quieter since the 1st of July in terms of transfer rumours?
Yeah, I think so. It felt a very busy start to the window, and as you say, July the 1st was key because that was when players could formally sign for new clubs. I feel like we're in a little bit of limbo at the moment. We're talking about the same players. I'd imagine it's going to accelerate again probably in the final month of the window, and I think it could be quite a frenetic August. Yeah,
because you and Sam have been talking about how much money is going to be spent, and we are still on for a record summer, aren't we?
Yeah, well, certainly up until the middle of last week, we were about £100 million ahead of schedule, and that was with some big money deals still to go through. So, yeah, I think it probably will be, but Simon was right in that the clubs coming into the Premier League, maybe Burnley are going to buck the trend because we're expecting James Trafford to make that £19 million move. But we spoke to Paul Heckingbottom, didn't we, on the podcast, the Game Day podcast. He didn't give us the impression they were going to spend a lot of money. I don't think Luton are either. Tahith Chong is a player on his way to Luton, £4 million from Birmingham, and that will give Manchester United, an extra £1 million as a result of a sell-on clause as well.
Yeah, okay.